Hello and welcome to another episode of Word from the Street from Expert Link and me, David Ford. And the big question is, are we squandering our opportunity to end rough sleeping forever? And I would argue we potentially are. So the first thing is that we have a flow onto the streets already that baffles a lot of people, but it's not difficult to understand. You know, we've talked about for years the hidden homeless. Well, the hidden homeless are turning up on the streets right now, every single day. We have people who have been released from prison with no fixed abode, no telephone, so no way of contacting them, no way of them accessing services, no way of people engaging with them, services engaging with them to assess them and get them into the right support that they need to take them off the streets and move on to a better life. We have right now a real sense around the country of local authorities starting to get a lot tougher and lots of people who are deemed not in priority need, which is absolutely crazy right now, and they're ending up on the streets or worse, in really dangerous and vulnerable situations when it comes to accommodation. That's the first thing. The second thing is that that we have all of those people that were thousands of people we fantastically moved off the streets into hotels and B&Bs. These are some of the most vulnerable adults in our society. People who have come with histories of trauma and mental illness and self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, who behavioural issues, lots of things like that. But it's all from their history and the way that they were being brought up or through their journey through life. Every single one of them pretty much trauma somewhere in their history. And yet what we're doing is we're putting them into hotels and imposing lots of conditions, not just conditions on them staying in the hotel, but conditions on their move-ons. An example will be, I heard this week about at least one person who's being told that they're moving out this month or could move out this month, but they're not going to unless they condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, condition 4. And actually that's not what this is about. The reason why a lot of people were rough sleeping, is because they couldn't match the conditions which were being imposed on them, and they felt that the best option for them was to rough sleep. They weren't given the right choices to move off the street. And you see, that's the thing, it's about choices for people to move on. And if people think the best choice that they have is rough sleeping, that's our issue, our challenge as a system, to make sure that we get the right choices for them to move on. Imposing conditions will just drive people who were on the streets for some of them for years back onto the streets. So potentially we could get a big influx post COVID-19. I mean, we're at the beginning of May now. Restrictions are looking as if they're going to start to be lifted. And what's going to happen to these guys? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to end up? It doesn't have to be that way. By the way, if you want to hear more from Word from the Street, don't forget to subscribe, and more importantly, ring that little bell so you get the notifications. But like I was saying, it doesn't have to be that way. As a system, we know about trauma. We have trauma-informed care. We know about psychologically informed environments. We understand the psychology and the trauma around people who are rough sleeping and caught up in multiple disadvantages. Two simple things that we can do. The first thing is co-production. What I'm hearing at the moment is there is a lack of transparency and almost no co-production across the country when it comes to move-on strategies for taking people out of the hotel and moving them to other accommodation afterwards. No transparency and no co-production. That is not the way that this needs to work. There needs to be that co-production. We need to be talking. We need to be looking at talking with people and working through their choices with them so that they can get the best possible move on that they can, and allowing them to come up with some choices too, rather than us the system coming up with choices and imposing conditions. The second thing we can do is housing first. We've been running a housing first pilot in this country for years. I know it's been years because I did research on one of the very first Housing First projects up in Cambridge years ago. It was super successful. It was absolutely amazing. We know it works. We have a massive Housing First movement being driven by Homeless Link. Co-production, housing first, if we use those two principles, those two things, actually what we'll have is people moving out from the hotels and into accommodation. The principles for housing first, I'll put in the link down below, and a link to Homeless Link, so you can have a look. If you've not heard about it, you can have a look at it before. I'll also put in a link for co-production. Go and have a look at those two things too, because those are the two things that absolutely will help us to end rough sleeping, not conditions. Well, I think that's enough of a rant from me today. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell. But more importantly, what I'd like to hear is, what do you think? Do you think co-production and housing first are the ways forward for us? Maybe you think that actually we should just be imposing lots of conditions on people. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments below. But know this, I love you all, and until next time, stay safe.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. No matter what.